departure into the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you clear to land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello!
Hello.
hello, everybody, and welcome to this Thursday evening's live stream. It is bloody freezing outside. I don't know what the temperature is with you. We can have a little bit of a record in the things. I reckon it feels like about -20 here in Wiltshire, although I think it's probably a little.
It's definitely cold o'clock or Halloween in Dave's world.
Yeah, Dave is somewhere else tonight, aren't you, Dave? I don't know where you are, but it's spooky.
I'm a mile from Compton Abbas Airfield.
Are you?
Well, yes. It's over that way.
By Richie's house.
Yes, clearly.
The other side, actually, the other side. But
okay.
Yeah.
Towards Hen Street, down the hill.
Down the hill, yes, that's it.
There you go. Right, we got a complex show tonight. Lots of stuff to do and other bits and pieces. So I'm going to kick off by saying thank you very much to SkyDemon for sponsoring the show tonight. If you haven't tried SkyDemon, you must be very unique. But if you're one of those unique people, go download yourself a 30-day trial and give it a go. And take a look from this week's top tip, which is from Rob. We haven't seen Rob for a couple of weeks, so here he is.
Hi, I'm Rob from SkyDemon, and here's another top tip. After planning a route in SkyDemon, you'll notice the Warnings tab appear here. This is arguably one of the most useful features in the app, since it gives an easily digestible list of airspace which conflicts with your plan. Tapping the little binoculars icon here will zip the map over to the conflict so that we can make an adjustment. Now we have no problem with Bristol CTA, but Merrifield Mats is a concern. Let's plan to fly over this one, removing it from the list as well. Once you have worked down this list, you can be confident that your journey either avoids airspace or that any airspace interactions are deliberately part of your plan. For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
That is undoubtedly a brilliant thing on SkyDemon. But imagine if it's like when Rob says, and it brings up the Warnings tab, and you can go along and delete all the airspace.
Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah.
That'd be good. There's a bunch of people in the comments saying that they didn't get their reminder tonight, and no reminder. I know I got mine. Mine. I mean, obviously I didn't need one personally, but I got it anyway. So as a bit of a test. So we'll have to, not sure what happened there. We'll look into it again and see if we can figure that out. Right. I'm in the wrong page here, as you were. Yeah, right. I think it must be time for weather. I think, and bearing in mind it's cold and freezing outside, Simon's not joining us live, but he did record this earlier. So here's your weekend weather from young Simon. Well, not so young Simon. Youngish Simon.
Evening all, sorry I can't be with you live this evening. I'm out here at Wolverhampton, Halfpenny Green. This was the scene this afternoon, and I know that for many of you that's how airfields are looking right now. Some very cold, some very wintry scenes. It looks as if it is going to be staying cold for most of the weekend as well. This is the chart for Friday. High pressure across the south of the country. Mist and fog again, and another bitterly cold night tonight. I think the mist and fog will be clearing away. Most areas actually turning like this during the course of the day, but a tendency for cloud to increase during the latter part of the afternoon. Some showers for northern and for western Scotland. They're going to be wintry as well. Now for Saturday, the wind's going more into the south or southwesterly, and what that will do is allow some low cloud to develop across western and southern coasts, and gradually during the day that's going to be moving inland as milder air moves in. So I think Saturday actually becomes a deteriorating sort of day across many parts of England and Wales. Some showers for northern England and also for the north and the west of Scotland. They are going to be wintry in places. And then as we get in towards Sunday, all change. Milder air coming in from the west during Sunday. It might take a bit of time to get towards eastern areas, but basically the winds are going to be increasing. The cloud base is going to be lowering. The visibility will be reducing as well, particularly across western areas with rain and drizzle. But the east may be flyable at first. However, big caveat across all of this forecast, we are seeing a weather change from the Arctic conditions we've got right now into milder Atlantic weather, and that's always a messy transition. So check the forecast carefully. if you're planning to fly during the course of this weekend, but at least temperatures are going to be coming up a little bit. Now, Christmas present time, I've still got a couple of places available on my Aviation Weather School Part 1 course, which is going to be held online on the consecutive Tuesdays of the 31st of January and the 7th of February next year. So it makes the perfect Christmas present for you if you want to understand more about weather, how it affects your flying, and how you can make the most of the weather so that you can get the most out of your flying opportunities. Go to weatherschool.co.uk and you can find out more and book your place now. Right, I am absolutely freezing cold, so it's back to you. Have a fantastic flying week, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
There you go. See if we can just have a little play around with this. See if I can get that. There you go. That's right. So it looks pretty parky there. Hello, Sarah. Sorry I didn't bring you earlier. I wasn't quite sure if I was trying to do it while Simon's video was running, whether it would cut the video or not.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. We don't want that.
But there you go. There you go. Right. So, Sarah, before we go on, your turn to tell everyone why they should join if they're not members already. Great.
That is it. Good evening, everyone. So you've got to join, okay? So join today. Become a member of what we believe is... That's it. Just join right now. Do it now. Join what we believe is Britain's best flying club. You'll get free landing vouchers every month at various airfields around the UK. So we've actually had 38 different airfields take part in 2022, which is amazing. Some of them multiple times because they love it so much. And in certain months, the amount you could save on landing fees would actually get you a year's membership to the Flyer Club. So it's really a no-brainer. And as well as exclusive content and webinars, as a Flyer Club member, you get a discount code that you can use online at Pooley's Flight Equipment. So just to give you an idea on how you could save money with a Flyer Club membership, you could get the cheapest Sky Echo and Aeroshell W100 oil in the UK using your discount code. Yeah, so it's pretty good. Also, if you did plan on buying a Delta Zulu ANI headset anytime soon, you could save about £65 using that code. So just join. It's honestly, it's the best club. And also, the more members we have, the more we can do. We've got some cool ideas coming up for 2023. So yeah, we just want you to join in the fun.
Yeah, and frankly, let's be honest about it. Membership is an important part of our income, and we need, everyone needs to survive. So join the club, please. And if you can't, if you don't want to join the club and you can't, it's only, yeah, exactly, Claire B. I don't know where you're getting your 98 for. It looks different for me, but give us some more likes, people. We need likes as well. Do it all. Excellent. Right. We've done that. I think it's time for some news, so I need to have a little play around there. There you go. Dave, you look spooky.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's just, I'm in a different place. It's an impromptu setup. Anyway, so the news tonight, top of the news is announcing the death of Bernard Shebar. Bernard was a journalist and author, born in Morocco in 1944, which I didn't know. He died earlier today. Those are the bald facts, but as always, there's much more. For instance, Bernard had a brief spell as a pop singer, as a broadcaster on a French TV station, presenting an aviation program, and he was a commentator at air shows. But he's best known for his work writing about aviation. Many centuries ago, when I was editor of a UK aviation magazine called Pilot, Bernard wrote a piece for us about his beloved Lockheed L-12 Electra. And I have to say, it was an extraordinary piece of writing, full of detail and insights. French aviation magazines are not always as precise as that, but also full of passion. And he wrote it in English. I remember thinking when I first read it, that this guy can write in English better than most English journalists can. It was just extraordinary. He wrote at least 6 books. There may be more. I'm embarrassed to say I've read none of them, but I have read much of his work as a writer in other magazines. He's a loss to the world of aviation journalism.
And I think people, if anyone went to the Flying Legends air displays, I think he was a fairly regular commentator at those, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And also at the French Fertelet air show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think if anyone went to Flying Legends, they would almost certainly have heard his at his voice and benefited from his insight, his knowledge, experience, and everything else. No,
Yes,
top chap.
That's right.
Sadly departed.
Another death we have to report is Captain Tom Davis, who was the boss of Crystal River Flying School over in Florida. You know him quite well. You knew him quite well, Ian.
I'm not sure I knew him quite well. I knew him. Yeah, I first visited Tom. It must have been, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago now, I guess. He kind of he got his wings. He was a Navy aviator. Basically, he got his wings in 48 and flew in all sorts of conflicts and stuff like that. And I think he ended up with something like 24,000 hours and God knows how many carrier landings and stuff like that. And one of these kind of, if you've been around American aviation at all, you'll know the kind of character. He'd done an awful lot of stuff. This guy, he was quite quiet about it. He'd also met a few presidents along the way and stuff like that. And he, as well as running the flying school at Crystal River, he kind of got permission to run the FBO and effectively manage the airport and basically cajoled the whole local council or the US equivalent of the local council to gradually make improvements and make the place better and better and better. And I think back in a few years ago now, they kind of renamed it from Crystal River to Captain Tom Davis Airfield. So he kind of said it was a bit of a surprise. He kind of walked into the meeting and it was almost like some people go, "We're naming it after you and you're not dead yet. That's what's going on." But no, he was a top chap. He did huge amounts of instruction. His wife really did an awful lot of examining down there. And there must have been literally thousands of international students that went through that school. And there was always the flags of whoever they had in at the time flying outside. And some good friends of mine have spent an awful lot of time learning to fly and all sorts of stuff there. It wasn't your typical churn and burn high turnover flying school. It was a very exacting place with some really good, fantastic training. So he'll be very sorely missed. A huge amount of experience gone west there. So there you go. Next, moving on.
So next, still me. Little horror story here. The magazine compilation is out yesterday actually. Sorry. The cover story is topical: how to read the winter weather forecast and spot those great chances to fly in clear, calm weather. Spoiler alert, it may also be very cold, like as it is at the moment. Also in the issue is Annabelle Cook's story about her first trip. Annabelle Cook, first trip into Europe as P1, coming on the back of a few difficult years, losing her medical and not flying. We've also got a flight test of the Robin DR400. This is from a few years ago, but we decided to bring it back because it's of the moment, since Robin, the factory, is building a factory-built DR401 fitted with the Rotax engine. We actually flew this a few years ago. We've got a roundup of how Fly 2022 went, the Fly 2022 challenge went for many of our readers and forum contributors, plus all the usual suspects writing their columns, including him over there, and there. Yeah, so it's all in the issue, which is available for download on the website.
Cool. Surely good. So, guess who's on next?
I'm going to draw some one of the comments out. Peter Griswold says, "Why are likes so important?" And Crispin very helpfully said, "Likes are important because it helps the YouTube algorithm." And what else do we have? The more likes, this is like the life cycle of Fly live stream on YouTube. The more likes, the further the live stream goes up the listing and hopefully more viewers. So there we go, Peter. But it doesn't mean does Fly get cash back? No,
no, we don't get a single. In fact, we do actually monetize the live stream, and so if you watch the live stream on Catch Up, you'll probably get served a few ads along the way. But the way YouTube works for content that has millions and millions of views. Those people earn fairly decent money. We earn on average, I think it's about £2.30 a week from live stream, which is one of the reasons we're always banging on about why don't you join the club and become a club member, because that's a far more. It's not because we get more money, although we do get more money, but it frankly we can't do what we do on £2.30 a week clearly, because that would barely pay my salary a week, let alone everybody else's.
But the most important comment is Steph Smith's. Apology for the tardiness. Night rating completed. Well done, Steph.
Well done. Yep. Well done. Anyway,
Right.
Ed, what have you got for us?
Airfield news. So Cologne, RAF Cologne, we've heard that ex-RAF Cologne Airfield is up again for disposal around about 2025. The news was apparently put out in a recent Cologne Parish Council meeting where attendees were told that the Defence Infrastructure Organisation, that's DIO, had instructed consultants to carry out detailed work on the viability of selling the site and what it might be used for in future. So the airfield is currently timetabled for disposal in 2025. Former RAF domestic site, which is called the Asingmuir Barracks, that's to be sold sometime after. Now, the DIO plan shows that might be in 2031, but there's talk of a combined sale of the two sites possibly being in 2029. Personally, I hope the runway remains, so there's potential still maybe for flight in the future. Elsewhere, with Airfield news, at Easter, where you've probably remembered over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about the plan to build someone wants to build a digester plant 40 meters from the center of the runway there. The good news is that there are 69 people against in the comments on the local council planning proposal, and just one person voting for. I think, is there still time, Ian, to jump on the Highlands website and post your?
There is. I think there is. I don't know if David's in the comments. He'll let us know, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Just in case, I'm going to stick, as I still have the reference here from last week. I'm going to stick that information in the comments.
If you haven't made your views known, please do so now.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Good. That's it for Airfield news. Okay, well, it's my turn now, and I'm afraid I've got a fairly long one. It's not too ranty, although there's danger of a little bit of a rant. And Ed, in the little box that we use to put links in for copying into the comments, there should be something in there for you to put in a minute. Now, if you remember a while ago, the Civil Aviation Authority consulted on changes or possible changes to cost-sharing regulations for UK cost-sharing flights. They haven't actually reported on what happened to the consultation. We chased them up a little while ago, and they said, "Oh, it's on its way." And then somebody kindly found it via Google on the CAA website. It's CAP 2391. It's here. They just haven't told anybody about it. Now, whether they haven't told anybody about it because they haven't got around to it, or they were going to wait until tomorrow so we didn't look at it and rant or anything, who knows? I'm going to start at the end of this one, unusually, and I'm just going to quote from here. It says, "This has been a landmark consultation for the CAA, providing, as it has, meaningful insight into the thoughts of the aviation community on this very important and sometimes contentious topic. It has shaped the opinion of the CAA significantly and has influenced our response in the revised legislation wording." I think what that means, their landmark consultation, is people have agreed with us, and so therefore we can do it, because normally we don't have to ignore it. Yoo-hoo! Yes, it was published, I think, yesterday or the day before or something. I just didn't tell anybody it was published. So, if anyone's interested in a quick summary, let's go through. Interestingly, a lot of people, I think, not entirely correctly, but then that's just my opinion, agreed with the CA on quite a few things. So, answering the question, do you support alignment? Blah, blah, yes. Do you think there should be amendments to change the regulations? Blah, blah, yes, etc., etc., etc. So, couple of things. The CA, I don't know if you remember, they proposed coming up with something called passenger declaration forms. And that meant that anybody who you cost shared with had to fill out a form, and you, as the pilot, had to keep that form for 6 months. It was pointed out that was a bit of a pain in the backside, and you, particularly if you were just taking your mate who was a pilot flying and sharing the cost, they still wanted you to do that. So they've decided not to do that. So if you are taking passengers who hold or have held a pilot's license, you won't need to do that. And if you have a passenger who have formally signed a declaration within the last 6 months, they won't need to sign another one as long as you've kept that with you. So I'm not entirely sure about. I agree with that one. There has been one of the other things they proposed was the fact that it should be an equal share. So none of this, the current rules, and the current rules will apply until the new legislation's written, which is probably certainly months, if not years away, are that you can have unequal shares. So I could take someone flying. If it cost me 100 quid, direct costs, I could contribute a quid and they could pay 99 quid. So they wanted to change that. They kind of accepted that they changed it, but they kind of ended up saying, we would like to clarify that a pilot not contributing proportionally to the direct costs of a cost-sharing flight would consequently make it an illegally operated flight, and if reported, would be investigated as such and enforcement action taken as necessary. So I guess if a friend of yours said, could you do me a favour? Could you just drop me off at Shoreham so I can pick up my aircraft from maintenance, and then we'll both fly back in different aircraft, and I'll share the cost. You can that passenger who do that will only share the cost proportionately with you for the leg that they're on. If you don't, you can't recover any more of the money if you want to, and if you do, then you'll be potentially prosecuted for illegal public transport. So just need to be a little bit careful of stuff that goes on there. There's a whole bunch of what I would describe as pretty much anti-Wingley feeling that came out in the comments. Not so much the CA. The CA did point out that Wingley was just one of those people, but it's still not. It's still not a great kind of thing. But they decided that advertising will be allowed, but in certain circumstances. Effectively, are they going to add an accounting module to the PPS? Yes, obviously that's ground exam number 10, double entry bookkeeping. So effectively, one of the things they want to change, and I can kind of see where they're coming from, is to say, look, if you put an advert out saying, hey, look, if you want to go flying somewhere, let me know where and when you want to go, and then we'll share the costs. So you won't really be able to do that. What you will be able to do is to say, okay, well, I'm flying to the 2K on Friday. If anyone wants to come and share the costs, jump in. But you won't be able to say, anyone fancy a tour of the Isle of Wight? Just let me know when you want to do it, kind of thing. And they're kind of going down the US route of calling that holding out, as it were. Where are we? So common purpose. There was going to be, so I can fly and they can buy me lunch in return. Well, that kind of depends, Whiskey Alpha Pilot, on how much it's going to cost you to fly somewhere and the lunch they buy you. If you were to fly somewhere that was 10 minutes away in a microlight and then get bought lunch at the Fat Duck, that probably would be a bit suspicious. But generally, lunch is going to be okay in pilot lunch terms. What have we got? The common purpose condition. They kind of wanted to bring in a common purpose condition, so saying, well, if you're not going there anyway, you can't share the cost, and that brought all sorts of problems because a lot of the time there is no common purpose. If someone says, can you drop me off to pick up my aircraft, or can you pick me up and I'll get a train or something, then that isn't a common purpose, and that wouldn't have been allowed. The CAA did actually accept the comments in the consultation and taken that out. So that's a good thing. They're coming for a whole load of slack, basically flack, I would say, not slack, saying that, you know what, if you just enforce the current laws properly, it will be okay, because what you're actually doing is you're creating a whole load of new rules, a whole load of new paper. And the people who were sitting out there doing grey charters anyway are going to carry on doing grey charters. And it's just the people who are doing acceptable cost sharing who are going to now be burdened, because they're the people who will abide by the rules, whatever they are anyway. And the people who will break the rules will continue to break the rules. And I kind of see that point. And again, there was a whole load of stuff about acceptable costs between whether you own an airplane or whether you rent an airplane. Included in the rental costs are obviously money towards engine funds and prop funds and stuff like that. But if it's your own airplane, you can't actually do that. So it's just direct costs. So anyway, go and have a read. See what you say. The consultation's obviously closed. They've done what they've done, and the rules will be coming out. And they're hoping to get around it with some guidance material. Tom, it was a closed question survey, very comfortable that most people would agree with the principle. There's no option to. Yeah, I think you've got a point there, Tom. It was a cleverly worded survey. Personally, if you read this, there's quite a lot of it where they're suggesting that it's going to be easier I'm not uncalm. No, I don't think that at all.
I think some of this is just a reaction to the Sala case, where the CEA has been really criticised because of the lack of policing grey charters.
I think it is in reaction partly to the Sala case, which, frankly, if that flight had completed without crashing, we would never have heard about it again, I imagine, and no one would have even known anything. And the Civil Aviation Authority has found it very difficult to investigate and prosecute people who they believe are creating grey charters, and they think that the grey charter people are effectively using cost share rules in order to disguise the grey charters. I personally, I don't think that this will be an end to grey charters. I think grey charters will continue, and if the Civil Aviation Authority wanted to stop it, it would need more resource in terms of ramp checks and in terms of many of the people who operate grey charters are pretty well known anyway. So
yeah.
I think there is a certain element of saying, okay, well, now we're going to have to do things. We're going to have to fill in forms. We're going to have to do this, do that, change the way we do things in order to help the CEA stop grey charters, which they're not going to do anyway.
Yeah.
That's just my view. Anyway, so it was not a big rant in there, but I do suggest if you're interested, go and have a look at Cap 2391, and then at some stage in the future there'll be some new rules, and no doubt we'll explain them. We could even write a little pantomime about it, couldn't we? I think we might do that. We should do that. We should explain aviation regulation through the art form of pantomime.
Christmas 2023, maybe not this year.
That could be the niche, the video niche.
Yes.
The new.
Yeah. Johnny, you must have some news.
Yeah, briefly, I'll be brief on this. So Blackbush, not the airfield themselves, but a group at Blackbush, are looking at returning an ex-BAE Vickers Viking to the airfield. So the airplane itself was recovered in Austria, and it's going to be transported to Blackbush and restored with BAE colours on one side and Eagle Airways colours on the other. There were several Viking operators at Blackbush in the 50s. They're currently they've got a crowdfunder going, and they're at just under £24,000, and their target is 80,000. And I'd never actually heard of the Viking. I'd heard of the Varsity, obviously, lots of people have heard of that, but the Viking is basically a Varsity with the wheel at the right end. It's a tailwheel airplane. So it's better. That's what I'm saying. It's better.
20 grand of that 24 grand came from BA, I believe.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, that was a good. Yeah. So the chap behind it, Dave Payne, he's a 7-8 training captain or line manager captain, I think. So he's close in with BA. So it's good. They've got a bit of a head start there.
Good.
Cool.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Good.
Yeah, so some Pilatus news. Sadly, the last Pilatus PC-6 Porter was handed over to an Indonesian operator, Smart Aviation of Jakarta, earlier this week. That aeroplane has been in production since 1959, but obviously sales have declined pretty slowly. The rugged Porter is obviously famous for its short takeoff and landing capabilities. Began with the piston engine, just like the yellow and pink one you can see here. It was a big geared Lycoming. But Porter's probably most famous for being powered by the Pratt & Whitney PT6. Sadly, this last aeroplane was being delivered this week, and we heard today that the aeroplane unfortunately crashed on takeoff from Heraklion Airport in Cyprus. It went to sea after a Mayday call, and unfortunately, looks like the co-pilot died in the accident. The pilot was able to get out. So, yeah, sad news that Porter ends production, and the last one has been lost so soon.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the next story it has a tendency, or has the possibility, to become a long and detailed story. So I'm going to try and keep it short. You could, if you remember, you can go and look up my column in the current issue. But effectively, Bloomberg published a story based on some research done by the University of Kent, which suggests that lead pollution around airfields in the UK caused by general aviation is possibly 14,000 times more than it was thought to be before. There's a couple of issues there. It was a tiny amount before, so even 14,000 times is a shocking headline number. 14,000 times of a tiny amount is still not a huge amount, although clearly any exposure to lead is not good, and it's a cumulative thing anyway. But it turns out that the company that the UK government pays £8 and a bit million a year to monitor all sorts of emissions, including lead, a company called Ricardo, had actually been using the wrong amount of lead and have accepted that, and that will change, which is kind of where you get the 14,000 number from, because they can say, oh, well, there's this much lead in avgas, and go, no, not sure where that came from. Anyway, the University of Kent study referenced a whole load of US studies. They didn't actually measure any lead anywhere. They kind of extrapolated and came up with a first order estimate. But it's well worth having a read through the research. It's not particularly hard or dense to read. And I'm sure everyone could cope with it anyway. If it was hard and dense, I couldn't. But anyway, so there's effectively there are some shocking headlines out there that may or may not get picked up by people. Who knows? And ultimately, it would be better if we all flew without any lead in our avgas at all. Apart from anything else, tetraethyl lead, which is the stuff that goes in avgas, is made by one refinery just outside Liverpool, and they produce all of the TEL for the entire world. So if there was a hiccup there, we'd all be in trouble pretty damn quickly. And some G100 UL in the US has now been approved, an STC, so it's a case of ramping that up, getting into the distribution panel and making the change. And I suspect this will hasten that change, because the EPA in the US are fairly hot on it. Anyway.
That can only be a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do without the shocking headlines, but it would be a good thing to get rid of it.
But yeah, getting us to unleaded fuel faster, I can't wait.
Yep, no, absolutely. Dave?
Right, couple
Look
of
behind you.
Yeah, a couple of items. First of all, we were going to talk a little bit about eShot Airfield and the problems that are going on there, which we did mention last week. The problem is that Northumberland County Council has issued an enforcement notice stopping the airfield from refueling emergency services helicopters and military helicopters, which tend to drop into the airfield. So they're only allowed to, these aircraft are only allowed to come in now on an if they've declared an emergency, i.e. they're low on fuel. So the enforcement, I did a bit of digging into this, and today I found out that the leader of Northumberland County Council, the council that's issued the enforcement notice, the leader, a chap called Glenn Sanderson, is also the farmer that lives next door and runs a farm next door to the airfield. Now, I don't know enough at the moment to put two and two together, but there is that little fact out there. I've asked Northumberland County Council for a bunch of facts, and they've yet to come back with them. Surprise, surprise. But maybe we'll have some more on this story next week. The other item I need to talk about is Airability. And Airability's Project Able has a new sales and marketing boss, Steve Todd, whose name may be familiar. Project Able, of course, is where Airability took these old former RAF Vigilants, which were declared unfit to fly, but mainly because of paperwork issues. They've sorted out a refurbishment program, so the airframe has been taken back effectively to zero time, and they've got a new engine in, a Rotax engine, they've got Garmin avionics. The whole thing is effectively a remanufactured aircraft. So it's a project run by Airability, and they've got this guy, Steve Todd, to look after it, to be the sales and marketing guy. His job basically is to sell them. Steve is also chairman of British Aerobatics. And if you've looked at British Aerobatics over the last few years, they've actually really improved themselves as their sales and marketing. So Steve knows what he's doing. So hopefully we'll see more of these aircraft out there.
And basically 2023 aerobatic competitions are now all, the rules are changing, aren't they? They have to now be in grobs. Is that right?
It's aerobatic, aren't they?
They are. We're heading to the World Championships with the fleet of grobs.
Yeah.
Right, one quick last news story, and then we'll get on to talking to Will, which I'm sure is going to be much more interesting than a bunch of the stories I've had, for sure.
Yeah,
Johnny.
super quick. TUI are now offering a fully funded 737 NPL cadet program, which you can apply for. It starts in September next year, and we're back to the days of airlines paying for the upfront costs, at least, of people getting their pilot's licenses and flying professionally, which is good news. So more about that on flyer.co.uk and on pilotcareersnews.com. So if you're into that, go and give it a read.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting that that's changing, isn't it? Right. Anyway, give us an introduction, Johnny.
Yeah, so we're joined by Will Hosie tonight. So Will's a trustee and project manager of the new Supermarine seaplane team, which is aiming to recreate an example of the S5. The project hopes to build a full-scale reproduction of the S5 under LAA supervision in time for the 100th anniversary, which is in 2027. So welcome, Will.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Jonathan. Do you want me to kick off?
Yeah, just give us a bit of an update on where the project is at the moment.
We started 2.5 years ago in Bordeaux with the guy that built some of the airplanes for those magnificent men in the flying machines with the actor Terry Thomas. And then, of course, we had Brexit, we had COVID, we couldn't get inspectors down to Bordeaux. So eventually, after about a year, it was very difficult to bring the wings back, all of the materials. But I did that, scoured the country for somebody to build the wings, and ended up going down to Bodmin to a guy called Rod Bellamy, sorry, and Bruce Keeping and John Blick. After I took everything down, all the timbers, the wings, the spars, the ribs, all the metallic parts, the ailerons, they had a hangar fire and we lost the lot. That was in October last year. So we started again on the 5th of January this year. The wings, I'm taking the wings up to Southend on, on Monday to have all the aileron flight control system fitted. The wing joiners, the compression struts, the pitot system, and the aileron hinges, and then the wings will come back to Cornwall. Not many people can do stuff in wood these days, so it's really a bit of an art to find somebody. So the wings will go into storage on the 27th of January. We're in the middle of doing some CAD drawings for the floats. So we're hoping, subject to money being available, to start the floats. That's a 10-month program. Again at Bodmin. The airplane is 100% scale. We've got a 235 horse Continental 6-cylinder in it, fuel injected, normally aspirated, but we'll have 12 exhaust ports, so the airplane will sound really quite throaty. The purpose of the airplane is to fly, to see the shape and the sound, and keep the airplane in the skies, and try and educate young people and keep it going for some time to come. The registration we've got for this airplane is G Snyder, Sierra November Delta Romeo, and I've also reserved the registration G Trophy, Tango Papa Hotel Yankee, because once the S5 is secured, we will move on to build a full-size S6B. That'll come in at 2,760 kilos. The S5 will come in at 1,850. I don't know if any of you know, but all of the drawings for these airplanes that were hand drawn by R.J. Mitchell and his team have been at RAF Hendon for some time. The copyright fell off in 2004 under the Tony Blair government, and we went along and we got 2,780 drawings, hand-drawn drawings, that were originally on microfiche, and they've been transposed into high-res digital. and we bought just under 3,000 of them for £84.
Wow!
So we've got that. We can't use them for building, but we can use them for referencing. If we used those plans for the S6, they wouldn't be compliant with today's building methods. So that's pretty well where we're at with the S5. The purpose of this generous invitation to come and speak with you. At the end of it, I really hope people jump on the website, have a look, and sign up. There's no cost, and then we can put you on the database and send you newsletters every quarter. Or you can have a look at the crowdfunder. We started a crowdfunder about 2 weeks ago. We're still learning. We've never done it before, and we're talking to various other people. Money for any project is difficult, especially in this climate where the world has just gone bonkers with anything you see and touch at the moment. What else can I tell you?
So what was the original power? It was a Napier, wasn't it? The original power.
Yeah, on the S5 there is an original engine that's running at Brooklands. They take it out every so often. It's on a trestle with probably about a third of an original propeller, and they fire it up. The original airplane, although this is full size, it's a much lighter build. It's all timber. The wings on the original were timber, but the rest of the airplane was fundamentally metal. So you could have a higher powered motor in it. Just remember also, all these airplanes were designed to do 10 hours of flight, harvest the high speed data. The word aerodynamic had never been invented. Scrap the airplane, build a bigger one. Nobody knew anything about knacker scoops. Nobody knew anything about carbon monoxide poisoning. It was really trial and error. You know, this was the fastest airplane in the world in 1927.
I think you touched on the carbon monoxide poisoning thing, Will. I think that was a real serious problem, wasn't it, for the Schneider racers?
It was. They didn't know what it was. You know.
Yeah. If you look at yeah. So where are you hoping to fly it from? The UK's not exactly overrun with places to fly seaplanes from.
They're not so user friendly. The airplane, we've already established a relationship with the Hampshire County Council at Calshot. The original Schneider hangar from 1915, we will be using that. Next door to that is the Sopwith hangar from 1913. The original framework is as is. The airplane has been reclad, so we'll be going in there. The Port Authority and the Harbour Master still work to a document for seaplanes landing on the Hamble, which they do still have the occasional one, but the document they reference is from 1936. And the Port Authority and the Harbour Master aren't terribly, at the moment, interested in altering that, because obviously shipping is the priority there. The Calshot Activity Centre, they primarily there for children. They can support the seaplane when it's on the water. They have all the sailing and paddleboards, stand-up paddleboards, ribs, people trained and qualified. The airplane will only fly about 50 hours a year. There'll be 4 pilots on it that will do about 12 hours per year. The front of house we've got is a guy called Chris Gotka. He's already finished his seaplane license up in Scotland. So he'll really be the front of house because he's well known and will attract far more interest than other people. So the airplane will fly, excuse my voice is going, the airplane will fly probably from April to September. There'll be educational days. The airplane won't fly unless there's a purpose for it. We can do static displays, corporate displays, flying, educational days. We can take the airplane by trailer into London or something to do a big corporate event. Or if we had to, if the money was right, we can actually fly it from Calshot to a place via certain lakes and do a fly past or something like that. That's all subject to getting the green light on that.
So what endurance do you think your version will have? Presumably not 10 hours.
No, they never had 10 hours. When they finished the race, they were typically 7 laps. They were just about on fumes. The airplanes never had water rudders. So the airplane, when it took off, the propeller, a fixed pitch propeller, you imagine this thing, fixed pitch, 2,500 horsepower, getting off the water in marginal conditions, and going through about 70 or 80 degrees because the air rudder wasn't large enough to keep it directionally straight. So the endurance on this one, it'll fly at about 120 knots. The DNE will be 170. So the purpose isn't to go fast or anything like that. It's really to keep that shape in the sky for some time to come. The endurance will be probably about 1.5, maybe 1 hour 45 minutes.
Okay. I guess if you look at the size of the rudder on that what's it called? That actually looks quite large, but I guess not when you've got that many horsepower up front to play with.
Yeah. No, it's a. I hope that people jump onto the website and have a look. I hope it appeals to a lot of people. We've already got just over £100,000. The project has gone up. Timber in the last 14 months, I don't know if you know, has gone up 53%, and will probably continue to go up. And you've also got availability trouble. So the project financially is, like all projects, will be a bit of a moving feast. At the moment, we're looking for 400. We've got a chap who's pledging 100, so we really need about £200,000. When you start a project like this, you don't have anything to show people, and they say, "Where is it?" Well, it's not built yet. So now the fact that the wings are just about finished and closed up, and then the floats will have 2 elements. Some people say, "Why didn't you start with the fuselage?" Because it's too expensive. I paid for the wings myself with my wife. That's come out with a few mistakes, a bit of trial and error. That's come out at about £80,000. But at the end of the day, we've got something that really matters. It's a missing piece of the jigsaw in British aviation.
Are the floats all wood?
The floats are all wood. It's got 14 bulkheads. When some of the seaplanes were built a long time ago, the shape of the formers were all built up. Now, through CAD, you can actually print them and laser cut them, so it's just one piece. There's some, so they'll be quicker, probably a little lighter, and we're given some thought. I don't know whether we'll do it or not. We'll probably have water rudders. The original didn't have them in the end, the S5. But there's a bit of a story whether or not we compartmentalize each bulkhead with expanding foam or something. So if you hit something in the water, it'll puncture. The floats will be covered in 5-ply, 1.5 mil 5-ply, twice in different directions. Then they'll be glassed. So we may actually compartmentalize it just in case you hit something. But every time you take off, there'll be a drone and there'll be boats in the water checking the state of the water.
Brilliant. And you hope to complete by 2027?
The airplane will be finished before that. And again, it's all down to money, If we can do the floats next year, that'll take up all of next year. So that's 23. So then we've got 24, 25, and 26 to do the fuselage, which is ample time. And we've still got 6 months as a buffer.
Right.
So it's quite quite reasonable. As you said earlier, the airplane's under the LAA. Francis Donaldson has become a bit of a chum. He's really mad keen about the airplane, and he'll be involved with it all the way through.
I think I'm right, Will, in saying that you've got a bit of family history with the aeroplane, haven't you? Because your dad, the aeroplane was originally a replica made for Thorpe Park, wasn't it? And
that's right. It was built. You first.
And your, I think the aeroplane was damaged, and then your father bought the parts, didn't he, and rebuilt it.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to the story. You're quite right. The Thorpe Park commissioned a chap called Ray Hilborn to build several static or seaplanes that were on the water, like an S6 and S5, a Blériot on floats, that type of thing. And the S5 actually flew. So it was built for £8,000 totally, start to finish. It was built at Thruxton. All of the people like Mike Evans and that were involved with the build have since passed away, unfortunately. And the airplane flew initially with a chap called Keith Sissons, who flew Sally B and aircraft like that. The Thorpe Park, the main incident they had was they used they had a fuel problem, and they didn't use I think it was called a pencil filter, and they had a fuel blockage, and they had a partial failure. So the airplane, the chap tried his best, sort of almost spun it into the water. The airplane was damaged and sort of pretty well sunk up to the top of the wing. They lifted. There were quite a few things that went against my father's accident. When they lifted the following day the airplane out of Thorpe Park, they lifted it just because they didn't know. They lifted it on a crane and straps. They lifted it full of water. They didn't drain it, lift it slowly. They just lifted the thing straight out. So that damaged the integrity of the ply and the glue and all stuff like that. The airplane also, it came to light, taxied into a bridge and damaged the fin. Together with this is what came out at the AIB. After the accident, and I lost my dad in May '87. I flew the airplane as well. I did about 20 hours on it. It's a very forgiving airplane, and I've wanted to build it for a long time, but family gets in the way, and technology wasn't there, CAD wasn't there, computers weren't there, the mood, just wasn't there. The AIB found out that a few weeks prior to my dad buying the fuselage, that it fell out of the rafters in the hangar roof, which wasn't mentioned. So that was a bit of another mark against the airplane. When the floats were brand new, they were never a problem. The wings were brand new. The fuselage was revamped, and the rudder, it turned out the center of gravity was wrong in it. And there should have been a shackle, which was possibly his mistake. As the chain goes around the rudder, it's like a bicycle sprocket. It goes into wires to the rudder pedal. There's like a shackle that goes onto one side, and the wire goes through the shackle, so it keeps the direction of the chain on the wire on the sprocket. That came off, and then when he was flying downwind, he had a problem. The fin split. The king post came out, and then the whole back end came off. Very quick, very, very upsetting. A lot of emotion at the time. The AIB were just amazingly superb. In hindsight, we should have kept some of the airplane. I kept a few things. all those years, and then took them down to Bodmin, and of course lost the damn things in the fire. So we got nothing from the original aeroplane.
What a
tragic. Can we flash up the website again? Whoever's got the ability to do that, I think Ed doing that.
Yeah,
So,
it's proving very difficult. I did a talk at the White Waltham Flying Club. I was invited there by a chap called Chris Royal. We had about 84 people, had a big colour slide, PowerPoint, all very nice. We had a couple of people chasing the people, but it's ever so difficult to get money out of pilots. I mean, it really is. And the couple of chaps we had, we ended up getting 400 quid out of 80 people. But it's almost unnatural for them to give money, you know. So you really have to be quite pointed in asking people for money, you know.
There's do you need any more technical help? Because there's a few people popping up in the comments. Someone says, I'm a CAD draftsman. So I'm guessing there's a volunteer. Should you need any CAD help?
Yeah, what kind of help?
So there's someone in the comments. Jeff Bridges said, I'm a CAD draftsman. I'm guessing he's mentioning that as he might want to volunteer.
Can he get in touch with me tomorrow, please? First thing.
There we go, Jeff. If you can help, we'll find a way. Yeah, but use the website. I think people can get in touch with you via the Supermarine Seaplane website, can't they?
They can. Telephone number or email. Just fire something, and I'll respond straight away.
Excellent. Well, there we
Fantastic. Go. Sadly, we need to move on because time is again running away with us. So I would just like to say thank you very much, Will. It's a huge project. It's clear that it's got almost a lifetime of special motivation behind it. So it'd be absolutely fantastic to see it come to fruition. Best of luck. We'll
maybe come back and tell us more about it in a year's time, and we'll see how you're getting on with the floats and things.
I'll be there faster than a speeding bullet. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
It's been an absolute
happy Christmas to all of you. Thank you.
And you too. Thank you.
You too.
Best of luck.
Well,
that's an amazing project.
Yeah.
And just remarkable that that Will is doing stuff. His dad rebuilt the aeroplane, and like he said, was lost in an accident in it, and yet to be going back and rebuilding that and doing a bunch of fantastic plans with it is tremendous. And taking it back to CalShot as well, that's going to be amazing. So
it will. Indeed. Right, we have got something like 3 minutes to get through Fancy Hangover if we're going to finish on time. So we're going to go in the order that people are... Who did that?
I didn't touch anything. We can do Fancy Hanger.
Right,
yes.
We're going to go in this order, I think.
Shall I tell you what Fancy Hanger is first?
Of course.
Okay, good. So for this week, for no other reason than it seemed like a good idea, we decided to go looking for winter projects in the classifieds that we could fix and fly next spring. These had to be short projects, definitely no 3 to 4 months work to fly, not months turned into years. So who is first?
Well, as you're on the screen, I think it's you, Ed.
Oh, good. Well, I found this. I went trawling through A4s, didn't have to go very far, and I found this wonderful Isaac's Fury biplane. Now, normally when you find ads like this, the first photo is a whole aeroplane, and then the next one is like the machine in 1,000 pieces. And no, don't show that photo yet. Go back to the so this is the only photo, but apparently this is the aeroplane. It's at Middlezoy. This is the project. So it's for sale. The ad says ideal project for someone with time. There's no price, and you need to ring for details. Now, I know this has got an automotive converted car engine, so I'm guessing maybe it's a change for a Continental or a Lycoming. I've even seen one with a Rotax 912. But an engine swap over winter and have it flying for spring, yeah, I could. That sounds like fun. Biplane for the summer. I reckon that's doable. Now the photos that you've, the other photos, the project that I really had my heart set on, but clearly wouldn't be months, would have been this lovely, and I've got a new obsession. It's the Monocoop 90A, which is a racing aeroplane. There was a project on Barnstormers, but I thought this looks like way more work than a few months. When it's done, it looks like that, and isn't that gorgeous? Wow. But I'm sticking with my I'm sticking with my Isaac's Fury. So
that Isaac's Fury, to be fair, doesn't look like it needs a huge amount of stuff. I mean,
no, a real just few months job. So
yeah, okay, possibly. Well, in that case, let's go to Sarah. Sarah's next in the.
Yeah. So I've gone really, really ambitious, and I've chosen this Airfix kit model Spitfire. This is my project for the winter because I'm not the handiest person in the world, and at least if I go with this, I can afford a couple of kits for when I make a mistake. And I say when and not if, because I guaranteed I'll make a mistake with this. So yeah, that would be a miracle. If I get that done over the winter, that'd be fantastic. I'll be chuffed with that.
It's got pretty good instructions.
Has it? No, honestly, the best instructions in the world, I will still make some sort of mistake. So if I could get that done by the spring, I'll be chuffed. Maybe I need to do that, set myself an actual task to get that done.
Yes. Yeah.
I think so. Good. Well, for some reason I had uploaded 2 pictures, but one of them's disappeared. So my one was a fully flying, fully finished Titan Mustang. Here it is. It kind of had a little bit of a runway excursion, as you can see. Nothing. If you read the ads, it just says, okay, the engine's still fine. You need a new prop, so that should only take a morning, shouldn't it? You can buy a new gear leg from Titan, and other than that, it's just the spar is apparently fine. Everything else is fine. Just a few panels that need a little bit of work. So and they're all kind of they're pop riveted.
So it's had a prop strike and the undercarriage is snapped off. and I must admit, I did see the photos for this project, and there did seem to be a few bends and crinkles in it elsewhere. So
yes. But it's only 28,000 euros.
Oh, that's all right then.
Which seems quite cheap. And basically everything's pop riveted. So presumably you just go and drill out the pop rivets, use that as a template to cut out another piece of aluminium, drill them, pop them back in, bob's your ankle.
Yes, you've not done this thing before, have you?
Well, not as such, no. But you think it might be trouble?
Maybe, I don't know. Stuart Rue says engine's fine, sans undercarriage.
There you go. Yeah. Right. Let's move on, Johnny.
Right. I've gone for this little thing, a DR-107-1 design, which is on Barnstormers for $20,000. It's apparently 90% finished firewall aft, so you just need to slap a 4-cylinder Lycoming in because it's got the dynafocal mount and put some paint on it, and it's pretty much ready to go. It's got a very basic instrument panel. I haven't got the picture of it actually, but it does have basically a G meter, a tacho, a radio, and that's it. Everything else is blank.
I've got to say, Johnny, have you heard the phrase 90% done, 90%
go?
I know.
Yeah, I go out on a limb and go, Johnny, if you buy that and you get that flying by April, I will give you £10,000.
Yeah. And you take the mickey out of my prop strike. That's not even got a prop to strike, that one. Yeah, that's definitely like a 2-year project.
I think so. But I like Johnny's enthusiasm and optimism.
Right. In that case,
I come up with 2-year projects that take 7 years. So,
well, to be fair, you're probably the person who has most experience of project dragging on a little bit. So, anyway, Dave, what have you got?
Well, I found a very lovely Cessna 170 1950 aircraft for $40,000 on a trader plane. Now, it's looking pretty complete. It did have a hard landing, which wrinkled the skins behind the gearbox, apparently. but the project doesn't look too intensive. Said the dealer selling it. So it needs it just needs a few things sorted out. So it's got this lovely panel, and it's pretty much it's all complete. The engine's fitted. It just needs the belly pan sorted out, the wings put back on, tailplane put back on. It's by the end of the winter, no problem at all. It's not like I've got to sort out electrics or control lines and stuff like that. This will be a piece of cake, I think.
I'm going to go out on a limb number 2 here and offer you £10,000 as well, Dave, if you complete that project by 8.
Well,
I help you, Dave. Once I finish my Spitfire.
I'll bring it back, bring it over from the States, and I'll take it down to my mate Miles McCullum.
And that's never going to get finished by April, is it?
Wilkins says nice brake pedals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Miles will produce you the absolute award-winning Cessna 170, the finest 170 in the world, probably. But it'll be in about 20 years.
70 years, yes.
Yeah, in 170 years. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Right. Okay. What have we got in there?
Well, so
Ed, you have a look through the comments.
There's a lot of this. Dave wins. It's like Dave with his crinkly gear. It's like people are not put off by Dave's crinkly gear repair. So Ed wins. Kia Williams says maybe April 2027, even though it's a says Sarah wins.
Yes, Martin.
Lots of people remind Johnny that 90% finished is still 90% to go. James said, "Did it smell okay, Johnny?" Ian's got a 10-person team standing by in the wings for his Mustang. Darren says we buffed out worse. Sarah, perfect for Ian apparently.
I think Sarah's probably got the most chance of finishing it.
Yeah, did Sarah? Sarah hasn't built hers yet, but you can guarantee she's quite fastidious, so I'm sure it'll turn out quite nicely. Kia Williams says it's not a clip monocoupe. No, I think I should steer clear of clip monocoupes. I'll go for a regular one. Julian Treadwell was with me if I'd gone for the monocoupe. It would appear no one likes the idea of an Isaac's Fury. It could be a. Oh no, that's all right. I was going to say it might have been a day when Ed didn't win. There were no Ed wins at all. Claire B is keeping my dream alive there.
Well done, Claire. Well done, Claire. So Ed, you'll know the answer to this, or Johnny, you might know the answer to this.
Poor show this week. Nobody wins.
Stuart.
The wrong side, Stuart today.
Okay, well, good point. Yeah. You said this was a 107 one design.
Yeah, single seat DR107, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah.
Isn't there a DR105?
There's a DR109, which is the 2-seater.
Right. But not a 105. I just got my 5s and 7s mixed up.
Your 5s and 7s, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I googled that, Ian, and it's a steam cleaner.
Thank you very much, Dave. You got any events for us coming up?
Yep, there's just a few. This Saturday, 17th, there's a Christmas market apparently at Sherburn Aero Club. Next Tuesday, 20th of December, there's a Fenland Christmas flying, and the first New Year's Day flying we've heard about is at Bobbin on New Year's Day. That's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good. Right. And if no one's got anything else on that point, I think we'll say thank you very much for joining us, Stuart. We're really sorry it was a poor show this week, and we promise that next week we'll do better. Next week is the last Fly live stream of the year. After that, we won't be back until January, but we do have a special for you that we'll be streaming on the 29th of January. And we won't be live, but we're sometime between now and then we're recording a competition, which is the Flyer live stream team kit-off. Nothing to do with kit-off, but a competition to build a little model starter Spitfire from Airfix each, which they supplied. So we're going to have a go at that and see how we get on.
The 29th of December, not the 29th of January.
Is that what I said? Yeah, 29th of December. So come and take a look at that one, definitely. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, team. We'll see you all soon. We'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.